A 25-year-old woman strides into Judge Caprio's courtroom like she owns the place, phone glowing in her palm, gums snapping between her teeth, earbuds still pumping music. Her name is Brianna Cole, and she's about to turn a routine speeding hearing into one of the most unforgettable moments ever caught on camera. The bailiff announces her case, but Brianna doesn't even look up. She scrolls. She laughs at a text. She smirks as if the whole room exists for her entertainment. Judge Caprio greets her politely. "Good morning, Miss Cole." She glances up, barely meeting his eyes. "Yeah, whatever, can we make this quick?" The gallery stiffens. Cameras hum. It's the kind of arrogance that makes strangers hold their breath. Judge Caprio's tone stays calm, the kind of calm that only decades on the bench can build. "Miss Cole, please remove your earbuds." She rolls her eyes. "Seriously? It's not like I'm blasting music." The disrespect drips off every word. Every tiny gesture, her sighs, her phone still in her hand, her dismissive laugh, tightens the courtroom like a bowstring. The judge's patience thins, but his composure never breaks. Not yet. No one in that room knows it, but within minutes Brianna Cole will push him too far. She'll say the one thing, and do the one gesture, that crosses every line of courtroom decency. And when that moment comes, Judge Caprio will remind her and everyone watching why respect for the law isn't optional. Because this isn't social media. This isn't customer service. This is justice, and disrespect here carries a price. Stay tuned, because you're about to see exactly what happens when ego collides with consequence. Subscribe to Real Judge Stories, and comment below what you would have done if you were sitting in Judge Caprio's chair. Wednesday afternoon, 2:10 p.m. The quiet hum of the courthouse fills the air, papers shuffling, heels clicking across tile, the low murmur of people waiting for their turn. The bailiff clears his throat. Case number 22305. Brianna Cole. Speeding violation, Route 295. The double doors swing open. Brianna saunters in like it's a coffee shop, not a courtroom. She's dressed in expensive athleisure, white hoodie, gold chain, spotless sneakers. Her iced latte sweats in one hand, her phone glows in the other. She never pauses her music. The faint thump of a pop beat leaks from her earbuds as she walks straight past the "No Phones in Court" sign. People in the gallery notice. An older woman frowns. A teenage boy nudges his mother. Officer Daniels, the bailiff, exchanges a knowing look with the court clerk, Ms. Rivera. They've seen rudeness before, but this is different. It's casual contempt, the kind that comes from someone who thinks consequences are for other people. Judge Caprio looks up from his file. "Good afternoon, Miss Cole." Brianna doesn't answer. She's too busy texting. Her gum snaps loudly in the silence. The judge tries again, his voice calm but firm. "Miss Cole, please remove your earbuds." She exhales dramatically, like he's asked her to climb a mountain. One earbud comes out. The other stays in. She tosses her hair. "Happy now?" A ripple of discomfort moves through the courtroom. Caprio's expression barely changes. His pen clicks softly against the desk. "Both earbuds, please. And the phone as well." Brianna smirks, tapping the screen. It's on silent. Chill. That single word, chill, hangs in the air like smoke. The clerk's typing stops. Even the hum of the ceiling fan feels louder. Judge Caprio doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. "Miss Cole," he says, eyes locked on hers, "this is a courtroom, not a cafe. When you're here, you follow procedure." The temperature in the room seems to shift. Brianna hesitates, finally sliding her phone into her pocket. For the first time, she looks nervous, but only for a heartbeat. Then the smirk returns. And that's when everyone realizes this isn't going to be a normal hearing. Judge Caprio adjusts his glasses and glances at the paperwork. "Miss Cole, you're cited for driving 78 miles per hour in a 55 zone on Route 295. Can you explain why you were traveling at that speed?" Brianna shrugs, folding her arms. "Because everyone else was going that fast. The cop just decided to pick on me, that's all." According to the officer's report, Caprio replies evenly, "Traffic was moving closer to 63, not 78. She lets out a short laugh. "Yeah, sure. They always say that. Doesn't mean it's true." The words hang there, light but loaded. Officer Daniels shifts slightly at the side of the room. The audience senses a shift too, that slow simmer of defiance beginning to boil. Caprio keeps his tone measured. "Are you contesting the ticket, Miss Cole?" "I don't care about contesting anything. Just tell me how much it costs so I can pay it and leave." She waves her hand dismissively as if ordering from a drive-thru. Ms. Rivera's eyes widen. She's seen impatience before but not open mockery. The judge's pen stops mid-stroke. This is not a convenience counter, he says, calm but unmistakably stern. This is a court of law. Yeah, I get it, Brianna interrupts. Can we skip the speech? A ripple of whispers spreads through the benches. One man in the back murmurs, she really just said that? Caprio sets the file down. Miss Cole, interrupting a judge is not a wise decision. She tilts her head, smirking. I'm not interrupting. I'm just saving time. You talk too slow. For a heartbeat, silence reigns. The air feels heavy like the seconds before a thunderclap. Caprio folds his hands together. His patience has limits, but his poise remains granite solid. Do you understand that your behavior here can influence the outcome of this proceeding? Whatever, she mutters. I'm paying it anyway. Then you'll wait until this court concludes the matter properly. Brianna rolls her eyes so hard it's visible from the gallery. Unbelievable, she mutters, tapping her leg impatiently. The judge's voice hardens, still low but edged. Miss Cole, one more interruption and I will hold you in contempt. Do you comprehend what that means? Her phone buzzes in her pocket. She pulls it halfway out, glancing at the screen. Put that away, Caprio says instantly. I'm just texting my friend that I'll be late, she says without looking up. Now, Miss Cole. Her thumbs hover over the phone. Then, defiantly, she sends the text. The bailiff takes a step forward, but Caprio lifts a hand. Officer Daniels, that won't be necessary, yet. Brianna sighs loudly. What's the big deal? You people act like I'm committing a crime. Caprio's reply cuts through the tension like a blade. Respect is the law's foundation. Disrespect is a kind of crime here. For a moment, she freezes. Something flickers behind her eyes. Maybe doubt, maybe pride fighting to survive. Okay, fine, she says finally, slipping the phone back. Happy? No, Caprio says quietly. Not yet. The audience can almost hear the rhythm of his restraint, the slow count inside his head. He flips through the report again, voice returning to procedure. This citation notes weaving between vehicles at high speed, because they were slow. Brianna bursts out. Seriously, why do old people even drive? They're the reason traffic exists. Gasps ripple through the room. Miss Cole, Caprio says, rising slightly from his chair, you will lower your voice and stop insulting others in my courtroom. She laughs, a sharp, hollow sound. Relax, Judge. It's not like I killed anyone. Ms. Rivera glances at the clock. The hearing has stretched far longer than normal. The tension has thickened into something tangible. Caprio's face remains composed, but his voice carries weight now, a deep calm that commands attention. You have made it very clear that you do not take this seriously. I suggest for your sake that you begin to. Brianna tilts her chin upward, refusing to meet his warning. Whatever. Just tell me the number, dude. The word hits like a gavel strike. Every head in the room turns. Even the bailiff exhales sharply. Caprio straightens fully now. Miss Cole, you will never address me as dude. You will say Your Honor. Do you understand? Brianna meets his gaze, unflinching. Sure. Your Honor. The sarcasm in her tone is razor thin, slicing through the silence. And in that single, insolent second, the entire courtroom knows this confrontation is far from over. The courtroom feels like it's holding its breath. Judge Caprio leans back slightly, hands folded, eyes fixed on Brianna Cole, who now stares at the floor, feigning boredom. The fluorescent lights hum softly overhead, the only sound in the silence that follows her sarcastic Your Honor. Miss Cole, Caprio begins slowly, you were given every opportunity to show basic respect. I will now review your driving record. She cuts him off again. Seriously? We're still doing this? Can't you just give me the ticket and move on? Caprio looks up sharply. Miss Cole, I suggest you stop interrupting me immediately. Her gum pops. You said that like 5 times. Maybe speed it up? A low murmur rolls through the gallery. Even Ms. Rivera, typing at the clerk's desk, stops mid-keystroke. Officer Daniels shifts, his hand resting on his belt. Caprio's tone hardens, steel replacing patience. Miss Cole, I am warning you. Any further outburst will be treated as contempt of court. Contempt? She mocks. For what? Not worshipping you? The words hang in the air like a slap. Caprio doesn't move. He doesn't need to. His silence alone commands the room. You seem to think this is a game, he says finally, but this is a court of law. The rules here apply equally to everyone. She scoffs. Yeah, sure. I bet if I were some sweet old lady, you'd let me go with a warning. Caprio's expression doesn't change, but his jaw tightens. Enough. And that's when she does it. She reaches into her pocket, pulls out her phone again, ignoring the sharp warning in his voice. I'm texting my friend. I told her I'd be out by now. This is ridiculous. Put that phone away. I will when you stop talking. The courtroom gasps as Brianna looks him dead in the eye and raises her right hand. Her middle finger extends, deliberate, defiant. The room freezes. No one moves. The sound of someone dropping a pen echoes like thunder. Ms. Rivera's mouth falls open. Officer Daniels takes 2 quick steps forward. Caprio rises slowly from his seat. When he speaks, his voice is no longer calm, it's command itself. Miss Cole, he says, each word measured and cold, did you just make that obscene gesture toward this court? The color drains from her face. I was just, he interrupts, his voice cutting through her stammer like a blade. Stop talking. You've said enough. And in that instant, everyone in the room realizes, Brianna Cole's arrogance has finally met something immovable, the full weight of Judge Caprio's authority. The room stays frozen for a full 5 seconds. Even time seems to hesitate, afraid to move before Judge Caprio does. Then, slowly, he straightens his robe and looks directly at Brianna Cole, whose smirk has dissolved into confusion. Miss Cole, he says quietly, you just committed an act of contempt in open court. Brianna blinks. Contempt? What does that even mean? I was just, he raises a hand. It means you disrespected this court, its officers, and the law itself. His tone isn't loud, but every syllable lands with precision. It means you crossed a line. The bailiff, Officer Daniels, steps closer, waiting for a signal. Ms. Rivera has stopped typing entirely. The gallery is stone still. Brianna tries to laugh, but it falters halfway out. You're seriously overreacting. It was a joke. Everyone's so sensitive these days. Caprio's eyes narrow. A joke? You think showing your middle finger to a sitting judge is a joke? I didn't mean it like that. You meant it exactly like that. The authority in his voice is absolute. Brianna's mouth shuts on its own. Caprio leans forward, folding his hands on the desk. In 30 years on this bench, I've seen anger, confusion, even fear. But rarely do I see deliberate arrogance. Miss Cole, your behavior isn't just rude, it's dangerous. It tells the world you believe rules apply to everyone but you. She fidgets, her confidence slipping. I said I was sorry, okay? Can't we just move on? Caprio shakes his head slowly. No, Miss Cole. Actions have consequences. You wanted me to make this quick? Very well. I'll make this quick. He opens her file. The crisp sound of the pages flipping echoes like thunder. Your speeding violation fine is $350. That's standard. But your repeated interruptions, use of profanity, failure to follow instructions, and obscene gesture constitute contempt. Her eyes widen. Contempt? Like jail? Potentially, he replies. But I'm feeling merciful today. A collective sigh of relief passes through the courtroom, but Caprio isn't finished. Instead of jail, you will receive an enhanced fine. The maximum penalty under Rhode Island General Law Section 813 is $1,000. Brianna gasps. 1,000? You're kidding. Does this face look like it's joking? Her silence answers him. Add that to your speeding fine. Your total now stands at $1,350, due today before you leave this courthouse. Brianna's face drains of color. I don't even have that kind of money right now. Caprio doesn't flinch. Then perhaps you'll remember this moment next time you consider mocking a court. Her lower lip trembles. Your Honor, please. I didn't mean, I told you earlier to stop interrupting. You ignored that too. Now you will listen. He sits back, his voice low but commanding. I'm also suspending your driver's license for 30 days. You will complete 40 hours of community service at the Providence Traffic Safety Center. There you'll speak to young drivers about this very day, about how arrogance cost you your dignity, your money, and your license. Her jaw drops. You can't be serious. Officer Daniels takes one step forward. Miss Cole, he says quietly, you might not want to push further. Brianna looks at him, then back at Caprio. Tears form at the corners of her eyes. Your Honor, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be disrespectful. I was just stressed and, Caprio's gaze softens only slightly. Stress doesn't excuse contempt. It reveals character. She nods quickly, voice cracking. I understand now. I really do. Good, he says. Because if you ever stand before me again with this attitude, I won't fine you. I'll sentence you. The silence that follows is heavier than any shout could be. Caprio glances toward the clerk. Ms. Rivera, note that Miss Cole's payment and service requirements begin immediately. She is not to drive herself home. Officer Daniels will ensure she arranges a ride. Then, turning back to Brianna, his voice softens just enough to pierce. Miss Cole, he says, grow up. You're 25 years old. Start acting like it. The gavel falls once, sharp and final. Justice delivered. Lesson begun. Brianna stands frozen in front of the bench, her confidence gone, her face pale. The air in the courtroom feels different now, heavy like judgment itself. A minute ago she thought she could charm or mock her way out. Now, the reality of Judge Caprio's verdict settles like a stone in her stomach. Ms. Rivera reads the ruling aloud for the record. Total fines of $1,350, plus 40 hours of community service, and a 30-day driver's license suspension. The clack of the keyboard is the only sound. Brianna swallows hard. Your Honor, please, I can't lose my license. I'll lose my job. I have bills. Caprio raises a hand. You had chances to behave respectfully. You chose arrogance instead. Choices have costs. Her voice cracks. I didn't mean it. I was just mad. That's precisely the problem, he replies. You let anger drive instead of reason. She nods frantically, eyes glossy. I'll pay, I swear. I'll do the hours. Just, please don't take my license. Caprio looks down at her, not cruel but unbending. Miss Cole, learning without consequence is merely advice. Consequence turns advice into understanding. A hush rolls through the courtroom. Even the people waiting for their own cases seem transfixed by the lesson unfolding before them. Officer Daniels steps forward quietly. Miss Cole will help you arrange a ride home. The words hit her harder than the fine. A ride home. She isn't allowed to drive her own car sitting right outside the building. As she gathers her purse, her hands tremble. The bailiff guides her toward the clerk's window, where a payment terminal blinks like an indifferent machine. The clerk's tone is polite but distant. Your total today is $1,350. Brianna hesitates, then slides her credit card across. The plastic shakes in her grip. Approval tone. Transaction complete. She wipes at her cheeks, mascara smearing. She turns back once more toward the bench. Caprio hasn't moved, he's already reviewing the next file. Still, his words linger in her mind. Consequence turns advice into understanding. Outside the courthouse, the cold afternoon air bites at her skin. She stares at her car in the parking lot, keys useless in her hand. For the first time in years, she feels powerless. A rideshare car pulls up. She climbs in silently. The driver glances at her tear-streaked face but says nothing. The city passes by her window, shops, traffic lights, other drivers oblivious to her humiliation. For the next 30 days she will take buses, carpools, and cabs. For 40 hours she will volunteer at the Providence Traffic Safety Center, telling strangers about the day she disrespected Judge Caprio. And for months afterward she will replay the scene in her head, the smirk, the middle finger, the moment everything changed. Because in that courtroom, Brianna didn't just pay a fine. She paid for a lesson, and she'll remember it every time she sees a red light. 2 weeks later, the Providence Traffic Safety Center buzzes with the chatter of high school students attending a weekend class. On the whiteboard, bold letters read, "Real stories from real drivers." Standing awkwardly at the front, wearing a bright orange volunteer vest, is Brianna Cole. Gone is the confident smirk. Her hair is tied back, her makeup minimal, and in her eyes sits a quiet fatigue that only hard lessons can bring. The instructor, a kindly man with gray hair and a clipboard, introduces her. Class, this is Brianna. She's here to share something about respect, responsibility, and what happens when we let pride take the wheel. Brianna forces a small smile. Hi, I'm Brianna. A few weeks ago I got a speeding ticket. I was impatient, rude, and honestly full of myself. I interrupted the judge, called him names, ignored every rule, and thought it was all a joke. She pauses, her voice tightening. Then I flipped him off. In court. In front of everyone. Gasps and giggles ripple through the students. It cost me $1,350, 40 hours of community service, and a month without driving. But it cost me more than that. It cost me my reputation, my job, and a big piece of my ego. She glances toward a poster that reads, "Safe driving saves lives." Judge Caprio told me something I'll never forget. Consequence turns advice into understanding. I didn't get that before. Now I do. The class sits quietly. For a moment, nobody moves. Then a student raises her hand. Was it worth it? Brianna exhales slowly. No, not even close. 2 seconds of disrespect can destroy months of peace. When the session ends, she helps stack chairs, quietly content to just be useful. Outside, she waits for her bus. Her car still parked at home, her keys still off limits, but this time there's no bitterness. Just a humble sense that the ride toward respect has finally begun. The story of Brianna Cole spread far beyond the courthouse. People online called it the day arrogance met accountability. But inside Judge Caprio's courtroom, it was never about humiliation. It was about understanding. Respect, he often says, isn't a title you give someone. It's an attitude you carry everywhere you go. Brianna learned that the hard way. What started as a routine traffic ticket turned into a mirror reflecting who she really was, and who she needed to become. Months later, when her license was reinstated, she didn't drive straight to celebrate. She drove slowly to the courthouse steps. No cameras. No audience. Just gratitude. She sat in her parked car for a long moment, whispering to herself, never again. Because real growth doesn't happen when you get what you want, it happens when you face what you deserve. Judge Caprio has seen thousands of cases, but some linger longer than others. This one reminded everyone watching that respect isn't optional. It's the foundation of every fair system, every relationship, every choice. If you believe respect still matters, don't just watch stories like this, learn from them. Subscribe to Real Judge Stories, and comment below. What lesson did you take from Brianna's case? Long after the echoes of the gavel faded, people still remembered the case of Brianna Cole. It wasn't because she had broken a traffic law, thousands do that every day, but because her arrogance had collided head-on with consequence and everyone saw it happen. Clips of the courtroom spread online, but what most viewers didn't see was the quiet aftermath. Brianna walking into the traffic safety center each morning with her head down, greeting the same officers she once mocked. Over time, her tone softened, her eyes steadied, and her words carried a different weight, not entitlement but empathy. When her community service hours ended, she stayed an extra week by choice, helping younger volunteers organize workshops on safe driving. The staff didn't recognize the woman from the video. They saw someone humbled, human, and changed. Judge Caprio never mentioned her name again in court, but one afternoon he looked up from a file and said softly to a clerk, "Sometimes the law teaches better than any lecture." And that was the lesson's true legacy, not punishment but transformation. Subscribe to Real Judge Stories for more moments where justice speaks louder than pride.